You mentioned about, wanting to do something to help humanity, and you also at the start said about, I think, pointed out this really interesting thing that the human condition, this kind of egoic consciousness, has these two sides. It's both responsible for our amazing ingenuity, our technology, our intellect, but on the other side, there's this deep neurosis, or as you said, even psychosis in the human animal. When you see, the way we're destroying our own planet, and I think to me it does seem that psychedelics are the most accurate dial we have for changing that mode of consciousness. So it seems the work you're doing to me really is focusing on perhaps the best thing we could do to improve the chance of the kind of human condition going forward. Is that how you think about it?
I absolutely think about it like that. We've done, and others have done, research which shows, unlike other drugs, psychedelics leave an afterglow of positive effects, like an increase in mindfulness, in openness, in compassion, in love of nature, in feeling of connectivity, etc., etc. All of these rather admirable human qualities, which one obviously can get in other ways, like meditation and spirituality and those sort of things. But I think that the psychedelics should be used as, thought of as amazingly valuable compounds, which nature, the universe, whatever we like to say it, has gifted to us to explore. And our ancestors at the very beginning of human culture, say in the caves of Cooke, which is about, 40, 50,000 years old, they were doing those incredible artworks, having only just done arrowheads for 100,000 years before. And on the floor of the cave were remains of mushrooms and they were obviously on a psychedelic of some type, which was changing their thinking patterns. And so they were climbing deeply down tunnels into the middle of the earth, amazing, rather like in the brain, and doing these staggeringly beautiful artworks in the pitch dark, apart from the torches they obviously held. And they were recognizing the power that these compounds could give. And the whole of Western society, for instance, is based on Greek culture. And at the core of Greek culture is the sacred center of Eleusis, where they took the cup with the sacred drink in it. And I mean, that was completely repressed, that knowledge. Both my sons studied classics at Oxford, and Eleusis was never mentioned. And in fact, I know someone who wanted to do a PhD in it at Harvard, and he was told, if you do that subject, you won't get your PhD. It's taboo. And it's strange how the taboo has lingered on. There's a lot of evidence now to show that these are truly rather magically beneficial to humanity, and where we've got, because we've got to a kind of rather time of crisis in the fact that we're so clever and powerful in what we can do, but we have such a kind of muddled and repressed brain. We don't really always think straight or think logically or creatively. And so we need to kind of improve ourselves inside so that we can direct our enormous powers we've got now to a more creative way. And I agree with you. I think that the careful use of psychedelics is the kind of elixir to hopefully get a more balanced viewpoint. We get higher up the mountain and the view gets wider and deeper. And therefore, like actually all religions and spirituality were probably based on psychedelic compounds, together with meditation, spiritual practices, deep breathing, all of those things do a similar process but they need more discipline and take longer. But the combination of them and the use of psychedelics, I think just having within society the knowledge that these are really very special compounds and should be treated as such with great respect and care, but they shouldn't be prohibited. And I personally am also, I personally gained so much from using them sensibly myself. I know so many other people who have had such great breakthroughs in self-realization, and like on the film, the new film that has come out from the depression study. A deeply depressed man was saying, oh, he's feeling such joy, such beauty of colors. And this is from a depressed person who's deprived of joy, you know. And so I think we need our culture to just accept it as a part of the cultural knowledge that this amazing portal is there. And it's our duty as people who know about these things to try to guide society into using it. When I say it, I mean the whole area, in the best way for the individual and society, not for our own profit particularly, but for society to transform to a slightly higher level where they have a better understanding of how to move forward in a positive way, which I think psychedelics, with, you know, accompanied by obviously thinking and all the other attributes, can help with. So, and I think we're on that path now. And so it's and basically what's happening, quite thank goodness, it's the new generation, you and your generation are getting the feel of how incredible these compounds are. And I think, you know, it's a question of time. With all things taboo, first you're ridiculed for your ridiculous, dangerous thoughts. And then you're ridiculed for more. And then suddenly it becomes common knowledge and everyone accepts it. And I think we'll go through that phase quite quickly now, hopefully. I optimistically don't see too much of a blockage happening, but I would just suggest to the governments and the UN, and I mean, I've worked quite a lot at the UN, I've advised governments, and it's so slow progress. I mean, the slowness in the UK. They decide to finally regulate medical cannabis, actually for the wrong purposes, because the Daily Mail said it was criminal letting epileptic children die for lack of the medicine they needed. Quite right, but still, instead of wanting to regulate for the right reasons, which is studying it and seeing the potential benefits that cannabis can use in a medical sense to people, and yet having regulated, very few people have got a prescription to use it because of all the other blocks. So I would love the current government to realize how much they can help their citizens by taking an intelligent look at how you re-look at this whole drug policy issue and recognize the now deep evidence of their potential benefits and change the regulations, control, the prohibition, stop the prohibition, don't send people to prison. Poor usually, the underdog gets sent to prison, and it's a cruel thing to happen. It's full of dangers for their life. And anyway, it's, in my mind, so obvious. And, I just hope there'll become a gap in the dramas of life so that that can move ahead a bit. And then we can do research easier, etc.
Yeah, I'm very optimistic as well. I think thanks to the kind of science that you've been involved with, it's hard to turn back now. It's hard to not see the truth when it's all kind of laid in front of us. I'm sure there'll be some resistance, but delivered in a safe setting.
It's going too slowly at the moment. We need it to speed up for the many, many millions of people who are suffering from depression and addiction and post-traumatic stress disorder and all the psychological disorders, where we now have clear evidence that psychedelic-assisted therapy can help more than what is currently available. Because there's been a complete halt in new treatment options from the pharmacy world. I mean, they came up with SSRIs, which were in many ways perfect for them because people had to take them every day. And they don't really see where's the profit in a psychedelic-assisted treatment because you take it so little, hopefully. But at the same time, it's no good just having people able to get it through research, which is a few hundred people. We must open it up and allow clinics with certified therapists to treat the many people in need. So, but I think we're on the move, and but I'm very urgently calling that we make the move. I've been at this point for 50 years now. Would love to see a dramatic move forward.
Great. Yeah. Well, I hope Boris Johnson responds favourably when he receives your letter.
Yes.